The email notification lit up my phone at exactly 11:47 p.m. I was already in bed, but sleep had become a stranger to me over the past few weeks. My husband Marcus was downstairs in his home office, supposedly working on a big project. The blue light from my phone screen hurt my eyes as I squinted to read the subject line. Confirmation, your Paris reservation, June 15th to 22nd. My heart stopped. We had no plans to go to Paris. I sat up slowly, trying not to make any noise. The email was from a luxury hotel booking site. I opened it with shaking fingers. The reservation was for a deluxe suite at the Hotel Plaza Athénée on Avenue Montaigne. 7 nights, 2 guests. Total cost, $8,500. I read the email 3 times. Each time, the words stayed the same. My husband had booked a week in Paris. Without telling me, the reservation was under his name, but the email had been forwarded to my account by mistake. A technical glitch that revealed everything. I got out of bed and walked to the window. Our house in the suburbs of Chicago looked peaceful under the streetlights. We had lived here for 8 years. Marcus and I had been married for 10. We met at Northwestern University when we were both studying business. He worked in finance now. I was a senior marketing director at Brennan Global, one of the biggest consulting firms in the Midwest. The past 6 months had been strange. Marcus started working late more often. He took phone calls in the other room. He seemed distant during dinners. When I asked him what was wrong, he always said the same thing. Just stressed about work, babe. Don't worry about it. But I did worry. A wife knows when something is off. I went back to bed and stared at the ceiling. Who was he taking to Paris? The question burned in my mind. I grabbed my phone again and opened his Instagram. He rarely posted, but maybe there was a clue. I scrolled through his recent likes and follows. Most were work-related or sports accounts. Then I saw it. A name I recognized. Simone Chun, his ex-girlfriend from college. They had dated for 2 years before we met. I remembered her from old photos. Beautiful, sophisticated. Always dressed like she stepped out of a fashion magazine. I clicked on her profile. It was private, but her profile picture showed a woman in her 30s with perfect makeup and designer clothes. Her bio said fashion buyer living my best life. My stomach turned. I went back to Marcus's profile and looked at his followers. Simone was there. Recently added. I couldn't sleep after that. At 6 a.m., I heard Marcus moving around downstairs. I pretended to be asleep when he came into the bedroom to get dressed for work. He kissed my forehead like always. Have a good day, Maya. Love you. His voice sounded normal, casual, like he wasn't planning a secret romantic trip to Paris with his ex. After he left, I sat in the kitchen drinking coffee and thinking. I could confront him directly, ask him about the email, demand answers, but something told me to wait, to gather more information, to be smart about this. I had learned a lot in my 10 years at Brennan Global. One of the most important lessons was this. Never show your hand too early. I called my best friend Keisha. She answered on the second ring. Girl, it's 7 in the morning. This better be good. I told her everything. The email, the hotel, Simone, the strange behavior. Keisha listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Maya, you need to be careful. Don't confront him yet. Get proof first. Men always deny everything unless you have hard evidence. Find out what's really going on. Then decide what to do. Her advice made sense. I thanked her and hung up. I went to my home office and opened my laptop. I needed a plan. First, I logged into our joint credit card account. Marcus had his own card linked to the account. I checked the recent charges. There it was, $8,500 to Hotel Plaza Athénée. Charged 3 days ago. I kept scrolling. There were other charges I didn't recognize. A jewelry store in downtown Chicago, $1,500. A women's clothing boutique, $2,300. A fancy restaurant I had never been to, $375. All within the past month. All while he was supposedly working late. My hands were shaking. This wasn't just a trip. This was a whole affair. He was buying her gifts, taking her to expensive dinners, planning a romantic getaway, and I had been completely blind to it. How long had this been going on? I checked my work calendar. June 15th to 22nd. That was 2 weeks away. I had a major presentation scheduled for June 16th, one of the biggest pitches of my career. Our firm was competing for a $20 million contract with a European tech company. If we won, I would likely be promoted to vice president. It was something I had worked toward for years. Marcus knew about this presentation. We had talked about it multiple times. He knew how important it was to me, and he had scheduled his romantic Paris trip right in the middle of it. Like my career didn't matter at all. I felt anger rising in my chest. Not just anger, fury. This man had promised to love me, to support me, to be my partner, and he was betraying me in the worst possible way. Not just cheating, but disrespecting everything I had worked for. I took a deep breath and made a decision. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to fall apart. I was going to handle this the way I handled everything in my career. With strategy, with intelligence, with absolute precision. I opened a new document on my computer and started writing. Plan A, gather evidence. Plan B, execute revenge. I smiled as I typed. Marcus had no idea what was coming. That evening, Marcus came home at his usual time. He was carrying Thai takeout, my favorite. Hey babe, thought we could have a nice dinner tonight. Just the two of us. He kissed me on the cheek. I smiled back at him. That sounds perfect. Let me just finish up this email real quick. I watched him as he set the table. He looked normal, relaxed, happy even, like he wasn't planning to run off to Paris with his ex in 2 weeks. I wondered how he could be so calm, how he could look me in the eye and lie so easily. We ate dinner and talked about our days. He told me about a difficult client meeting. I told him about the upcoming presentation. You're going to crush it, Maya. I know you will. His words sounded supportive, but they felt empty now, meaningless. After dinner, I cleared the table while he went upstairs to shower. His phone was sitting on the kitchen counter. He had left it behind. I looked at it for a long moment. Then I picked it up. I knew his passcode. He had never changed it from our anniversary date, October 12th. My heart was pounding as I unlocked the screen. I went straight to his messages. I scrolled through until I found what I was looking for. Simone. The messages went back 3 months. March 18th. Marcus had written, "So good to reconnect after all these years. We should grab coffee sometime." Simone had responded, "I would love that. I miss talking to you." March 25th. Coffee had turned into drinks. Then drinks turned into dinner. By April, the messages were different. More flirtatious. More intimate. Simone sent photos of herself in expensive dresses. Marcus responded with heart emojis and compliments. May 2nd. Marcus wrote, "I can't stop thinking about you. I think I made a mistake letting you go all those years ago." My chest tightened as I read the words. Simone replied, "Maybe we get a second chance. Life works in mysterious ways." May 15th. Marcus sent her a photo of the Hotel Plaza Athene. "How does this look for our trip?" Simone's response was immediate. "It's perfect. I can't wait to spend a whole week with you in the most romantic city in the world." I kept reading. They talked about what they would do in Paris. Visit the Eiffel Tower at sunset. Have dinner at Michelin star restaurants. Walk along the Seine at night. Take a day trip to Versailles. Every message was like a knife in my heart. June 1st. Just 2 weeks ago. Simone wrote, "What are you going to tell your wife?" Marcus responded, "I'll figure something out. Maybe a work trip. She won't question it." I put the phone down before I threw it across the room. My hands were shaking so badly I had to grip the edge of the counter. He was planning to lie to me, to tell me it was a work trip, to look me in the face and deceive me completely. I heard the shower turn off upstairs. I quickly put his phone back, exactly where it was, and took a few deep breaths. When Marcus came downstairs, I was loading the dishwasher like nothing had happened. "Everything okay? You look upset." He was looking at me with concern. Fake concern. I forced a smile. "Just tired. Work has been crazy this week." He nodded. "I know, babe. But after your big presentation, things will calm down. Maybe we should plan a vacation. Get away somewhere nice." The irony wasn't lost on me. "Sure, that would be nice. We should talk about it." He smiled and kissed the top of my head. I love you, Maya. The words felt like poison. That night, I couldn't sleep again. I lay in bed next to Marcus, listening to him breathe. He fell asleep so easily. No guilt, no conscience, just peaceful sleep while I lay there with my mind racing. I thought about confronting him right then, waking him up and demanding the truth. But Keisha's words kept echoing in my head. Get proof first. Men always deny everything. I needed more than just text messages. I needed a plan that would leave no room for denial. The next morning, I went to work early. My office was on the 42nd floor of a downtown Chicago high-rise. I had a corner office with a view of Lake Michigan. I had earned this space, this title, this career, and I wasn't going to let Marcus destroy it. I called my executive assistant Elena into my office. She was a sharp woman in her late 50s who had worked at Brennan Global for 20 years. She knew everyone and everything. I need a favor, a personal one. I kept my voice low. Elena closed the door and sat down. What's going on, Maya? I told her about the Paris trip. Not everything, just enough. My husband is going to Paris on June 15th. I think he might be having an affair. I want to go too, but I need a legitimate work reason. Elena didn't look surprised. She had probably seen this situation before. I'll see what I can do. Give me a few hours. 3 hours later, Elena knocked on my door again. She was smiling. I found something. Remember the European tech company you're pitching to on June 16th? They have offices in Paris. I called their VP of operations. His name is Laurent Beaumont. I told him you wanted to visit their Paris headquarters after the presentation to get a better understanding of their company culture. He loved the idea. He said it would show real commitment. My heart started beating faster. So I have a legitimate reason to be in Paris? Absolutely. And here's the best part. Mr. Brennan is going to be in London that week for meetings. I suggested he might want to join you in Paris for a day or two to meet with Laurent as well. He thought it was a great networking opportunity. He'll fly in on June 17th and leave on June 19th. I stared at Elena. Mr. Brennan was Robert Brennan, the founder and CEO of our entire company. He was also Marcus's ultimate boss. Marcus worked at Brennan Financial Services, a subsidiary company. Robert Brennan oversaw all operations. He had the power to hire and fire anyone. Elena, you're a genius. She winked at me. I've been doing this a long time, honey. I know how to handle men who think they can get away with anything. Let me book your flights and hotel. Where's your husband staying? Hotel Plaza Athene on Avenue Montaigne. Book me there too. Different room, obviously. Elena raised an eyebrow. Same hotel? You're bold. I like it. I'll make the arrangements. She paused at the door. Maya, whatever you're planning, be careful. Make sure you have everything lined up before you make your move. I will. Thank you, Elena. After she left, I sat back in my chair and looked out at the lake. The pieces were falling into place. I would be in Paris at the same time as Marcus. I would have the CEO of our entire company with me. And Marcus would have no idea until it was too late. That evening, I came home to find Marcus cooking dinner. He was in a good mood, humming to himself as he chopped vegetables. I watched him from the doorway for a moment. This was the man I had married, the man I had built a life with, and he was about to throw it all away for his college ex-girlfriend. Hey, babe, I didn't hear you come in. He smiled at me. How was work? It was good. Actually, something exciting happened. I'm going to Paris next week for work. I kept my voice casual, like it was no big deal. Marcus froze. The knife in his hand stopped moving. What? When? I started setting the table. June 15th through the 22nd. We're meeting with that European tech company after the presentation. I'll be visiting their Paris headquarters. Isn't that great? I watched his face carefully. He was trying to look happy for me, but I could see the panic in his eyes. Wow, that's amazing. Paris is beautiful. You'll love it. His voice sounded strained. When did this come up? Today. They suggested it, and my boss thought it was a good idea. Mr. Brennan is even flying in for a couple days to join me. It's a huge opportunity. I looked at him directly. Is everything okay? You look worried. No. I'm fine. Just surprised. That's the same week I have that work trip to Minneapolis. I was hoping we could spend that weekend together when I got back. He was lying so smoothly. The work trip to Minneapolis was news to me. He had never mentioned it before. Obviously because it didn't exist. Oh, that's too bad. But we can celebrate when we both get back. We'll plan something nice. I smiled at him. He nodded, but he wasn't smiling anymore. He went back to cooking, but his movements were mechanical now. Distracted. That night, I heard him on the phone in his office. He was talking in a low voice. I stood outside the door, listening. I can't cancel the trip. The hotel is non-refundable. And I've been planning this for months. There was a pause. No, I didn't know she was going to Paris. It just came up today. Another pause. I know it's risky, but what am I supposed to do? I walked away before he could hear me. I didn't need to hear more. I already knew he was talking to Simone. Already knew they were discussing what to do about my sudden Paris trip. But there was nothing they could do. It was all arranged. The next 2 weeks crawled by. Marcus became more and more nervous. He tried to convince me to cancel my trip multiple times. He said Paris was dangerous, that work wasn't worth missing time together, that I should send someone else from my team. But I stood firm. This is a huge opportunity for me. I have to go. He also started spending more time on his phone. More hushed conversations. More excuses about working late. I didn't confront him. I just watched and waited. Meanwhile, I was preparing for my presentation and planning every detail of what would happen in Paris. Keisha came over the night before my flight. She helped me pack. You really going through with this? She was folding my clothes carefully. I nodded. I have to. I can't let him get away with this. Plus, I want to see the look on his face when he realizes I'm there. Keisha looked worried. Just be careful. Men can be unpredictable when they're cornered. Make sure you're safe. I will. And I'll have Mr. Brennan there. Marcus won't dare do anything stupid with his boss watching. I smiled. This is going to be perfect. The morning of June 15th, Marcus and I left for the airport at the same time. He said his flight to Minneapolis was at 10 a.m. Mine was at 9 a.m. We kissed goodbye in the garage. Have a safe trip. I'll call you when I land. He hugged me tight. Too tight. Like he felt guilty. You too. Love you. I watched him drive away. Then I got in my car and drove to O'Hare International Airport. My heart was pounding the entire way. This was it. The plan was in motion. There was no turning back now. I checked in for my flight to Paris. Business class. Seat 2A. According to Elena's research, Marcus had booked seats 8C and 8D. He was flying economy, probably to save money for all those expensive gifts for Simone. I smiled at the thought. I went through security and found my gate. I had 2 hours before boarding. I bought a coffee and sat in a corner where I could see everyone coming and going. At 8:30 a.m. I saw them. Marcus and Simone. They were walking together, laughing. She was wearing designer jeans and a silk blouse. Her hair was perfect. Her makeup was flawless. She looked like she belonged in a fashion magazine. Just like I remembered. Marcus was carrying both their bags, playing the gentleman. They stopped at a coffee shop near their gate. I watched them order drinks and sit down. He put his arm around her. She leaned into him. They looked like a couple. A happy couple. My stomach churned. I took out my phone and snapped a few photos. Evidence. Then I texted Keisha. He's here with her. They're at gate B18. I'm at B22. Same terminal. Her response was immediate. OMG. Girl, stay calm. Stick to the plan. Boarding started at 8:45 a.m. Business class boarded first. I walked past Marcus and Simone's gate on my way to the jetway. I was wearing sunglasses and a big hat, just in case. But they were too absorbed in each other to notice me. I smiled to myself. This was going to be fun. I settled into my seat on the plane. 2A window seat. Business class was comfortable, spacious. I could stretch out and relax. I ordered a glass of champagne from the flight attendant and pulled out my tablet. I had work to do during the 8-hour flight, but I also had something more important to focus on, planning the confrontation. At 9 a.m., the flight attendant made an announcement. We will begin boarding the remaining passengers shortly. Thank you for your patience. I looked out the window and saw the line of economy passengers waiting to board. Marcus and Simone were in that line. They were holding hands. My hands clenched into fists. They boarded and walked past business class. Marcus was looking down at his phone. He didn't see me, but Simone glanced into business class as she passed. For one brief second, our eyes met. She didn't recognize me. Why would she? We had never actually met. She was just Marcus's ex from before my time. She walked on without a second thought. The flight took off at 9:30 a.m. I tried to focus on my presentation notes, but my mind kept wandering. They were sitting 8 rows behind me, probably cuddling under a blanket, watching movies together, whispering about their romantic week ahead. It made me sick. Halfway through the flight, I got up to use the restroom. I walked slowly toward the back of the plane. As I passed row 8, I looked over. Marcus was asleep. His head was resting on Simone's shoulder. She was awake, scrolling through her phone. She looked content, happy. I kept walking. In the restroom, I looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes were red from lack of sleep. My jaw was tight from clenching my teeth. I took a deep breath and reminded myself of the plan. Stay calm. Stay focused. Get your revenge. The flight landed in Paris at 11 p.m. local time. 8 hours in the air felt like 8 days. I waited until most of business class had deplaned before I stood up. I wanted to avoid running into Marcus in the terminal. I grabbed my carry-on bag and walked slowly toward the exit. The Paris airport was busy even at night. I followed the signs to baggage claim. I saw Marcus and Simone ahead of me in the crowd. They were walking close together. His hand was on her lower back. My blood boiled. I stayed far enough behind that they wouldn't notice me. At baggage claim, I stood on the opposite side of the carousel. I watched them collect their bags. They were laughing about something. Marcus looked relaxed. Happy. He never looked that happy with me anymore. The realization hurt more than I expected. I got my suitcase and headed toward the taxi stand. I had arranged for a car service to pick me up. A black Mercedes was waiting with a sign that said Brennan Global. The driver loaded my bag and opened the door for me. Where to, madam? Hotel Plaza Athene, Avenue Montaigne. He nodded and pulled away from the curb. I looked back and saw Marcus and Simone getting into a taxi. They were headed to the same hotel. The same beautiful, expensive hotel where they thought they would spend a romantic week together. They had no idea what was waiting for them. The drive into Paris was beautiful, even at night. The streets were lit up. The buildings were stunning. The Eiffel Tower sparkled in the distance. Under different circumstances, I would have been excited to be here. But all I felt was cold determination. We arrived at the Hotel Plaza Athene at midnight. The hotel was exactly as fancy as the photos online. The lobby was elegant. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, fresh flowers everywhere. Staff in perfect uniforms greeting guests in French and English. I checked in at the front desk. Reservation for Maya Johnson. The clerk typed on her computer and smiled. Ah yes, Madam Johnson. Welcome to Paris. You are in room 412. Your colleague Mr. Brennan will be arriving on June 17th. We have him in room 508. She handed me my key card. Is there anything else I can help you with? Yes, actually. Can you tell me if Marcus Johnson has checked in yet? My husband. We're staying here at the same time, but in different rooms for work purposes. I smiled sweetly. The clerk checked again. Yes, he checked in about 20 minutes ago. He is in room 623. Perfect. Thank you. I took my key and headed to the elevator. Room 623. I made a note of it. My room was on the 4th floor. Marcus was on the 6th, 2 floors above me. Probably in the deluxe suite he had booked for him and Simone. Probably already in bed with her. I pushed the thought away. My room was beautiful. King-size bed. Marble bathroom. View of Avenue Montaigne below. Any other time, I would have loved it. But tonight, I was too wired to appreciate it. I unpacked my suitcase and pulled out the folder of evidence I had brought. Photos of text messages, credit card statements, the booking confirmation, everything I needed. I also pulled out a new outfit I had bought specifically for this trip. A red dress, designer, expensive, the kind of dress that made a statement. I hung it in the closet and smiled. I would wear it on June 17th, the day Mr. Brennan arrived. The day everything would come crashing down on Marcus. I tried to sleep, but my mind was racing. I kept imagining Marcus and Simone in their room, kept thinking about what they were doing. It was torture. At 3 a.m., I gave up and took a sleeping pill. I needed to be sharp tomorrow. I had work to do. The next morning, I woke up at 9 a.m. Paris time. My body was still adjusting to the time change. I ordered room service for breakfast and reviewed my presentation one more time. At 11 a.m., I had a video call with my team back in Chicago. Everything was ready for tomorrow's pitch. After the call, I decided to explore Paris. I couldn't sit in my room all day thinking about Marcus. I needed to clear my head. I put on jeans and a casual top and headed downstairs. The concierge gave me a map and suggested some tourist spots. The Louvre, Notre Dame, the Eiffel Tower. I thanked him and stepped outside. Paris was beautiful in the daylight. The weather was perfect, sunny but not too hot. I walked along the Seine River and tried to enjoy the moment, but every couple I saw holding hands reminded me of why I was really here. Not for tourism, for justice. I spent the afternoon at a cafe near the Louvre. I ordered a coffee and a croissant and watched people pass by. I thought about my marriage, about the 10 years I had invested in Marcus, about all the times I had supported his career, his dreams, his goals, and he had thrown it all away for Simone, for excitement, for something new. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Marcus. Hey babe, just landed in Minneapolis. Hotel is nice. Miss you already. I stared at the message. The lies came so easily to him. He was in Paris, in a hotel with another woman, and he was texting me like nothing was wrong. I typed back, "That's great. I'm in Paris now. The city is beautiful. Wish you were here to see it." Two could play the lying game. He responded immediately, "I wish I was there too. Work is so boring. Can't wait to see you when we're both home." I put my phone away and finished my coffee. Tomorrow was the presentation. The day after that, Mr. Brennan would arrive, and then everything would change. I just had to be patient for 2 more days. That evening, I stayed in my room and ordered room service again. I didn't want to risk running into Marcus in the hotel. Not yet. The time wasn't right. I watched French TV and went over my presentation notes for the 100th time. At 10 p.m., I took another sleeping pill and forced myself to rest. June 16th, presentation day. I woke up at 6 a.m. feeling nervous. Not about the presentation. I was confident in my work. I was nervous about seeing Marcus, about maintaining my composure when all I wanted to do was scream at him. I got dressed in my best business suit. Navy blue with a white blouse. Professional. Powerful. I did my makeup carefully. I wanted to look perfect. Not just for the presentation, for everything that was coming. The presentation was at 2 p.m. at the tech company's headquarters in La Défense, Paris's business district. I left the hotel at noon to give myself plenty of time. In the lobby, I saw them, Marcus and Simone. They were having breakfast at the hotel restaurant, laughing, feeding each other pieces of croissant, acting like teenagers in love. I walked past quickly, keeping my head down. My heart was pounding. They didn't see me. I got into my taxi and exhaled. Tomorrow. Just 1 more day. Then I could stop hiding. The presentation went perfectly. My team and I pitched for 2 hours. The client asked great questions. They seemed impressed. At the end, Laurent Beaumont shook my hand. "Excellent work, Maya. We will have a decision by the end of the month. But I must say, you are the front runner." I thanked him and left feeling confident. On the way back to the hotel, I called Mr. Brennan. He was still in London. "Robert, the presentation went really well. I think we have a strong chance of winning this contract." His voice was warm. "That's wonderful news, Maya. I'm looking forward to meeting Laurent tomorrow. What time should I meet you at the hotel?" "How about 10 a.m. in the lobby? We can go to their office together." "Perfect. See you then." I hung up and smiled. Everything was falling into place. Tomorrow, Marcus's world would collapse, and I would be there to watch. That night, I couldn't sleep even with the pills. I kept thinking about what I would say, how I would reveal everything. I had the evidence ready, the photos, the text messages, the credit card statements. I had practiced my speech in my head 100 times, but I still felt nervous. What if something went wrong? What if Marcus talked his way out of it? At 9 a.m. on June 17th, I got up and got ready. I put on the red dress. It fit perfectly. It was bold, confident, powerful, exactly the image I wanted to project. I did my makeup and hair. I looked in the mirror. This was it. Today was the day. At 9:45 a.m., I went downstairs to the lobby. I was early. I wanted to be there when Mr. Brennan arrived. I sat in a chair near the entrance and waited. My heart was racing. My palms were sweating. I gripped my folder of evidence and took deep breaths. At 9:55 a.m., the lobby doors opened. Mr. Brennan walked in. He was a tall man in his 60s with gray hair and a kind face. He had built Brennan Global from nothing and turned it into one of the top consulting firms in the country. He was respected by everyone, feared by some, and he was my boss's boss's boss. Maya. He spotted me and walked over. You look lovely. Red is definitely your color. He kissed my cheek in the European style. Thank you, Robert. How was your flight from London? Smooth. I'm excited to meet Laurent today. Shall we get coffee before we head over? Actually, Robert, there's something I need to talk to you about first. Something personal. I kept my voice low. Can we sit somewhere private? He looked concerned. Of course. Let's go to the lounge. We walked to a quiet corner of the hotel lounge and sat down. Robert ordered 2 espressos and waited for me to speak. I took a deep breath and began. Robert, I'm in a difficult situation. I need your advice, and possibly your help. I told him everything. About Marcus, about the affair, about Simone, about the Paris trip, about the lies. As I talked, I showed him the evidence. The text messages, the credit card charges, the photos from the airport. His face grew more and more serious. When I finished, he sat back in his chair and sighed. Maya, I'm so sorry you're going through this. No one deserves this kind of betrayal. He paused. But I have to ask. Why are you telling me this? What do you need from me? Marcus is here. Right now. In this hotel. With her. They think they're having a secret romantic getaway. But I want to confront him. I want him to know that his lies have consequences. And I want you there as a witness. As his ultimate boss. To make sure he can't talk his way out of it. I looked directly at Robert. I know this is a lot to ask, but I need your support. Robert was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. You've been with this company for 10 years. You're one of our best employees. You've earned my support. And frankly, I don't tolerate this kind of behavior from any of our staff. Marcus works for us. He represents our company. If he's lying and cheating in his personal life, what does that say about his professional integrity? So you'll help me? Absolutely. What's your plan? I smiled. I want to catch them in the act. I know their room number. I want to go up there with you and knock on the door. When he opens it, he'll see me. And you. And he'll have to face everything he's done. Robert's eyes narrowed. He looked almost excited by the idea. Bold. I like it. When do you want to do this? Now. Right now. Before I lose my nerve. Robert finished his espresso and stood up. Then let's go. We walked to the elevator together. My hands were shaking as I pressed the button for the 6th floor. Robert noticed. Nervous? Terrified. But I have to do this. I can't let him get away with it. He patted my shoulder. You're stronger than you think, Maya. And you're doing the right thing. The elevator doors opened on the 6th floor. We walked down the elegant hallway until we reached room 623. I stared at the door. Behind it was my husband, with another woman. In a room he paid for with our joint credit card. My anger flared up again. I raised my hand and knocked. 3 sharp knocks. We waited. I heard movement inside. Footsteps. Then Marcus's voice, muffled through the door. Who is it? Room service. I kept my voice low and disguised. There was a pause. Then the door opened. Marcus was standing there in a hotel bathrobe. His hair was messy. He looked confused. We didn't order room service. He stopped talking when he saw me. His face went completely white. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. Then he saw Robert standing next to me. If possible, he turned even paler. Maya? What? How? He was stuttering. Surprise. I'm in Paris too. For work. Remember? I smiled coldly. Aren't you supposed to be in Minneapolis? Marcus took a step back. His eyes darted between me and Robert. This isn't what it looks like. I swear. Robert stepped forward. Marcus, I think it's exactly what it looks like. He gestured to the room behind Marcus. Are you going to invite us in? Or do we need to have this conversation in the hallway? Marcus hesitated. Then Simone's voice came from inside the room. Marcus? Who is it? Come back to bed. My stomach turned. Marcus closed his eyes. His nightmare was coming true. I pushed past him and walked into the room. It was the deluxe suite. Beautiful and expensive. The bed was unmade. Simone was sitting up in the bed, wearing a silk nightgown. When she saw me, her eyes went wide. Who are you? I'm Maya, Marcus's wife. Nice to finally meet you. I kept my voice calm even though I wanted to scream. Simone looked at Marcus in shock. Wife, you said you were divorced. Marcus was standing frozen in the doorway. Robert walked in behind me and closed the door. This conversation needed to stay private. Marcus, sit down. Robert's voice was firm, commanding. Marcus obeyed like a child. He sat on the edge of the bed next to Simone. She pulled the blanket up to cover herself. She looked terrified. Good. She should be. I pulled out my folder and opened it. I placed the printed text messages on the bed in front of them. These are your messages from the past 3 months. Planning this trip. Saying how much you love each other. Talking about your second chance. I kept pulling out papers. These are credit card charges. $1,500 at a jewelry store. $2,300 at a boutique. All for her. Marcus, you told me you were going to Minneapolis for work. You booked this hotel 3 weeks ago. You've been lying to me for months. Maybe longer. I looked at Simone. And you? Did you know he was married? Simone's face was red. She looked at Marcus. You told me you were getting divorced. That the papers were already filed. I laughed bitterly. We're not getting divorced. Or we weren't. Until now. I turned to Robert. He was watching Marcus with a cold expression. Robert, thank you for being here. I needed a witness. Someone who could ensure Marcus faces consequences. Not just at home, but at work too. Marcus's head snapped up. Work? What does work have to do with this? Robert stepped forward. Everything. You work for Brennan Financial Services, a subsidiary of my company. You represent us. And what you've done here shows a serious lack of character and integrity. Using company resources for personal gain. Lying. Cheating. These aren't qualities we value. Marcus stood up. Now wait a minute. My personal life has nothing to do with my job performance. That's not fair. Robert's voice was ice cold. Fair? You want to talk about fair? Let me tell you what's not fair. Lying to your wife who has supported you for 10 years. Using joint credit cards to buy gifts for your mistress. Planning a secret trip during your wife's most important presentation of her career. That's not fair, Marcus. I added, you knew how important this presentation was to me. You knew I needed your support. And you decided to use that same week to run off with your ex-girlfriend. What does that say about you? Marcus was silent. He had no defense. Simone was crying softly. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But she had known he was married. Even if he lied about divorcing me, she should have checked. She should have been smarter. Robert pulled out his phone. I'm calling HR. This incident needs to be documented. Marcus's face went even whiter. Please, don't do this. I'll make it right. I'll fix everything. Robert didn't even look at him. It's too late for that. I sat down in the chair by the window. I suddenly felt very tired. All the anger and energy drained out of me. I had done it. I had confronted them. I had exposed everything. But I didn't feel victorious. I just felt sad. 10 years of marriage. Gone. Just like that. Marcus walked over to me. Maya, please. I'm sorry. I made a terrible mistake. But we can work through this. I love you. I looked up at him. You don't love me. You love the idea of me. The stability I provide. The comfortable life we built. But you don't actually love me. If you did, you wouldn't be here. But I do love you. Simone was a mistake. A moment of weakness. It doesn't mean anything. Then why did you spend thousands of dollars on her? Why did you plan a week in Paris? Why did you lie to me over and over? Those are moments of weakness, Marcus. That's a choice. You chose her over me. Simone spoke up through her tears. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know he was still married. Marcus made himself the victim. You knew exactly what you were doing. Both of you. And now you both get to deal with the consequences. Robert got off the phone. HR will be calling you tomorrow, Marcus. We'll discuss your future with the company then. But I'll tell you right now, it doesn't look good. He turned to me. Maya, let's go. You don't need to be here anymore. I stood up and looked at Marcus one last time. I'm filing for divorce as soon as I get back to Chicago. You can keep this hotel room. I'll be staying in mine. Alone. Like I should have been from the start. I walked to the door. Robert opened it for me. As we left, I heard Simone start crying harder. She was saying, how could you lie to me? How could you do this? Marcus was trying to calm her down. The door closed behind us. I heard their argument continue as we walked down the hallway. In the elevator, Robert looked at me. How are you holding up? I honestly don't know. I feel numb. Good. That's probably better than feeling everything at once. Let me buy you a drink. You've earned it. We went to the hotel bar. It was mid-morning, but I didn't care. I ordered a whiskey. Robert ordered the same. We sat in silence for a minute. I'm proud of you. Robert raised his glass. You handled that with incredible strength. Most people would have fallen apart. I clinked my glass against his. I fell apart weeks ago. This was just the cleanup. We drank. The whiskey burned, but in a good way. It felt grounding. Real. What will you do now? Robert asked. I'm going to enjoy Paris. I'm going to do the meeting with Laurent tomorrow. I'm going to prove that I can handle my personal life falling apart and still be professional. Then I'm going to go home and start over. Robert nodded. And Marcus's job? I shrugged. That's up to you and HR. But between you and me, I hope he gets what he deserves. Robert smiled slightly. Between you and me, he will. We don't tolerate this kind of behavior, especially not when it affects one of our top employees. You're too valuable to lose, Maya. Those words meant more to me than he probably knew. After 10 years of supporting Marcus's career, someone finally valued mine. Thank you, Robert, for everything. You didn't have to help me like this. He shook his head. Yes, I did. It was the right thing to do. We finished our drinks and parted ways. Robert went to his room to rest before our meeting tomorrow. I went back to my room. The red dress I was wearing suddenly felt too tight, too formal. I changed into jeans and a t-shirt and lay on the bed. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Marcus. Maya, please call me. We need to talk. I can explain everything. I deleted it without responding. There was nothing to explain. Nothing to talk about. It was over. I spent the rest of the day in my room. Keisha called and I told her everything that happened. She was proud of me. You did it, girl. You really did it. I'm so proud of you. Hearing her voice made me feel better. Less alone. That night, I ordered room service and watched a movie. I didn't think about Marcus. I didn't think about Simone. I just focused on the present moment, on being okay. It was harder than I expected. The next day, Robert and I met with Laurent. The meeting went well. He was impressed with our presentation and with our company's values. By the end, he told us we were his first choice for the contract. We'll have the paperwork ready by next week. Congratulations. Robert and I celebrated with lunch at a nice restaurant near the Eiffel Tower. The food was incredible. The view was stunning. For a few hours, I forgot about everything else. I just enjoyed being in Paris, being successful, being free. That evening, Robert flew back to London. I had 2 more days in Paris before my flight home. I decided to be a tourist. I visited the Louvre. I climbed the Eiffel Tower. I walked along the Champs-Élysées. I ate at cafes and bakeries. I took photos. I lived. On my last night in Paris, I sat at a cafe and wrote in my journal. I wrote about the past 2 weeks, about the discovery, the planning, the confrontation, the aftermath. I wrote about how I felt. Sad, angry, relieved, hopeful, all at once. A man at the next table smiled at me. You look deep in thought. I looked up. He was attractive. French accent. Kind eyes. just processing some things. He nodded. Paris is a good city for that. It has a way of helping you see things clearly. We talked for an hour. About life. About love. About starting over. His name was Philippe. He was a teacher. Recently divorced himself. Before I left, he gave me his number. If you ever come back to Paris, call me. I would love to show you more of the city. I took the number and smiled. Maybe I will. Thank you for the conversation. It helped. Bon chance. Good luck. He kissed my cheek and walked away. I flew home to Chicago on June 22nd. The flight felt different than the one 2 weeks ago. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't heartbroken. I was just ready to move forward, to start the next chapter of my life. Marcus had moved out by the time I got home. His closet was empty. His office was cleared out. He left a note on the kitchen counter. I'm sorry for everything. I never meant to hurt you. I hope you can forgive me someday. I crumpled the note and threw it away. Forgiveness was a long way off. Maybe forever. Keisha came over that night with wine and takeout. We sat on my couch and talked for hours. So what's next? She asked. Divorce, obviously. And then I live. I go back to work. I get that promotion. I buy this house from Marcus in the divorce settlement. I make it mine. I date when I'm ready. I travel. I do whatever I want. For the first time in 10 years, I'm free. Keisha raised her glass. To freedom. To new beginnings. I clinked my glass against hers. To new beginnings. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized. Marcus had to give me the house, half of his retirement account, and pay me monthly alimony for 3 years. His lawyer tried to fight it, but my lawyer was better. The evidence I had gathered made it impossible for Marcus to argue. He had broken the marriage contract. He paid the price. Marcus lost his job at Brennan Financial Services. Robert followed through on his word. The company couldn't keep an employee who had shown such poor judgment. Marcus found work at a smaller firm. Lower pay. Lower status. I heard through mutual friends that he and Simone broke up shortly after Paris. Apparently, she couldn't trust him after finding out he lied to her too. Karma. I got the promotion to vice president. The European contract came through. It was worth $22 million. My bonus alone was 6 figures. I used part of it to redecorate the house, to make it mine. New furniture, new paint, new memories. I also used part of it to book another trip to Paris. This time I went alone. On purpose. I wanted to reclaim the city, to make new memories there that didn't involve Marcus or betrayal or pain. I called Philippe when I landed. He met me at a cafe on the left bank. We spent a week together. He showed me parts of Paris tourists never see. We talked for hours. About art. About life. About second chances. On my last night, we stood on Pont Alexander 3 watching the sunset. The sky was pink and gold. The Seine sparkled below us. You seem different than last time, Philippe said. More at peace. I nodded. I am. I've learned that sometimes the worst things that happen to us lead to the best things. His betrayal freed me. It hurt, but it freed me. Philippe smiled. You're very wise. I kissed him. Maybe I'll come back to Paris again soon. I hope you do. Flying home this time felt different too. I wasn't running from anything. I wasn't chasing revenge. I was just living my life, making choices for myself, following my own path. It felt good, really good. Back in Chicago, I threw myself into work. I mentored younger employees. I took on bigger projects. I traveled for business. London, Singapore, Sydney. My career flourished in ways it never could have when I was focused on keeping Marcus happy. A year after the divorce, I ran into Marcus at a charity event. He was there with a date. A different woman. Younger. He looked older though. Tired. When he saw me, he walked over. Maya, you look great. Thank you. So do you. It was a polite lie. He didn't look great. He looked like a man with regrets. I heard you made VP. Congratulations. I did. Thank you. There was an awkward pause. I've thought about you a lot. About what I threw away. I hope you're happy. I am. Happier than I've been in a long time. I meant it. He nodded. I deserved everything I got. I know that now. I'm glad you know that. It means you learned something. Another pause. Then his date came over and pulled him away. I watched them go. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. I just felt grateful. Grateful that I had the strength to leave. Grateful that I didn't settle for less than I deserved. 2 years after Paris, I met someone new. His name was David. He was a lawyer, divorced with 2 kids. We took things slow, really slow. I wasn't in a rush anymore. We dated for a year before moving in together. Another year before getting engaged. The whole time, he never gave me a reason to doubt him. He was honest, faithful, kind. We got married in a small ceremony in Paris. Philippe came to the wedding. He and David became friends. On my wedding night, I stood on the balcony of our hotel room looking at the Eiffel Tower. David came up behind me and wrapped his arms around me. Happy. I turned and kissed him. Very happy. I thought about the first time I came to Paris. How I had been so angry, so hurt, so broken. I thought about the revenge I got. The confrontation. The exposure. It had felt necessary at the time. And maybe it was. But the real revenge wasn't what I did to Marcus. It was what I did for myself. I rebuilt. I grew. I thrived. That was the best revenge of all. 3 years after the divorce, I became senior vice president. 5 years after, I was named to the board of directors. I was one of the youngest board members in company history. At my first board meeting, Robert Brennan stood up and gave a speech about my accomplishments. He ended with this: Maya is proof that character matters, that integrity matters, that no matter what life throws at you, you can come back stronger. I'm proud to work with her. Everyone clapped. I felt tears in my eyes. Not sad tears. Happy ones. Proud ones. I had done it. I had survived the betrayal, the divorce, the pain, and I had come out on the other side better than before. That night, I called Keisha. We talked like we always did. Remember Paris? She laughed. How could I forget? You were so fierce, so ready to burn his world down. I smiled. I was. But you know what? The best part wasn't burning his world down. It was building mine back up. That's the real victory. Keisha was quiet for a moment. You're right. You've come so far, Maya. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of me too. And I'm grateful. For everything. Even the pain. Because it taught me who I really am. We hung up and I poured myself a glass of wine. I sat on my balcony overlooking the city. Chicago looked beautiful at night. The lights twinkled like stars. I thought about Marcus. I wondered if he ever thought about what he lost. Probably. But it didn't matter anymore. He was my past. And I was living in my present. Building my future. The next morning, I got an email from Simone. It had been 3 years since Paris. The subject line said, "I'm sorry." I almost deleted it without reading. But curiosity got the better of me. I opened it. Dear Maya, I know I have no right to contact you, but I wanted to apologize for my part in what happened. I was selfish. I was stupid. I believed Marcus's lies because I wanted to. I convinced myself it was okay because he said you were getting divorced. But even if that had been true, it was wrong. You deserved better. I hope you found happiness. I hope you've moved on. I certainly have. I'm married now. To someone honest. Someone good. Someone nothing like Marcus. And every day, I think about the lesson I learned in Paris. That karma is real. That choices have consequences. That the easy path is rarely the right path. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry. And that I hope you're okay. Simone. I read the email twice. Then I replied, Simone, thank you for your apology. It takes courage to admit when you're wrong. I forgive you. Not for your sake. For mine. Because holding on to anger only hurts me. I have moved on. I'm happy. I'm successful. I'm in love with someone who deserves me. I hope you've learned from your mistakes. I hope you treat your new husband better than you treated other people's relationships. Life is too short for lies and betrayal. Choose honesty. Choose integrity. Choose love. Maya. I hit send and closed my laptop. Forgiveness felt good. Not because Simone deserved it, but because I deserve peace. I deserve to let go of the past completely. To move forward without any weight holding me back. That night, David and I had dinner at our favorite restaurant. You seem happy, he said. I am. I let go of something today. Something I've been holding on to for too long. What was it? The last bit of anger I had about Marcus and Simone. I forgave her. I forgave him. Not for them. For me. David reached across the table and took my hand. That's huge. I'm proud of you. I squeezed his hand. I'm proud of me too. 5 years after Paris, I stood in front of a crowd of 200 people at a women's leadership conference. I had been asked to speak about overcoming adversity. I told my story. Not all the details, but enough. I talked about betrayal, about revenge, about rebuilding, about choosing yourself, about rising from the ashes. The crowd was silent as I spoke. When I finished, they gave me a standing ovation. Afterward, dozens of women came up to me. They shared their own stories of betrayal, of divorce, of starting over. They thanked me for being honest, for showing them it was possible to survive and thrive. One woman in particular stuck with me. She was in her 30s. Her husband had cheated on her with his co-worker. She was devastated, lost. What did you do to stop feeling so much pain? She asked. I thought about it for a moment. I chose to focus on what I could control. My career, my health, my happiness. I stopped waiting for him to fix what he broke. I fixed it myself, and slowly the pain faded. It doesn't go away completely, but it gets manageable. And eventually, you realize you're better off without someone who didn't appreciate you. She nodded with tears in her eyes. Thank you. I needed to hear that. I hugged her. You're going to be okay. It doesn't feel like it now, but you will be. Trust me. She left with a small smile. I watched her go and felt grateful. Grateful that my pain had meaning, that my story could help others, that something good had come from something so terrible. 10 years after Paris, I was named CEO of Brennan Global. Robert Brennan retired and recommended me as his successor. The board voted unanimously. I was the first woman to hold the position in the company's 50-year history. My first act as CEO was to implement a strict ethics policy. No tolerance for fraud, for dishonesty, for betrayal of any kind, personal or professional. I wanted to build a company culture based on integrity, on respect, on doing the right thing even when it was hard. At the press conference announcing my appointment, a reporter asked me what advice I had for young women starting their careers. I thought about everything I had been through, everything I had learned. My advice is this: never compromise your integrity for anyone. Not a boss, not a partner, not a friend. Your character is all you have. Protect it, nurture it, let it guide you. And if someone betrays you, don't waste time seeking revenge. The best revenge is living well. Building a life so amazing that their betrayal becomes irrelevant. Focus on yourself, on your growth, on your happiness. That's how you win. The reporter smiled. That's powerful advice. Thank you. I nodded. It came from experience. Hard experience, but experience nonetheless. That night, I celebrated with David and Keisha and my closest friends. We went to the best restaurant in Chicago. We ordered champagne and expensive food. We laughed and told stories and celebrated all the years of hard work that had led to this moment. At one point, David raised his glass. To Maya, the strongest woman I know, the smartest woman I know, and now, the most powerful woman I know. I love you. Everyone cheered. I felt tears in my eyes again. Happy tears. Grateful tears. I raised my own glass. To second chances. To new beginnings. To choosing yourself. To living well. We all clinked glasses and drank. Later that night, lying in bed next to David, I thought about Marcus. I wondered where he was, what he was doing, if he ever thought about what could have been. Probably, but it didn't matter. His chapter in my life was closed. Long closed. I had written new chapters, better chapters, chapters filled with success and love and happiness. That was the real revenge. Not the confrontation in Paris, not the exposure or the divorce or the financial settlement. The real revenge was this life I had built, this happiness I had found, this success I had earned. Marcus had thrown me away, and I had turned that pain into power. into purpose, into a life worth living. That was the ultimate victory. Not over him, over the circumstances, over the betrayal, over the fear that I wouldn't be okay without him. I was more than okay. I was thriving. And that was the best revenge of all. The end. Did you like the story? Which city are you listening from? Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story. With love and respect.